Hey friends, I'm Leslie.
Hey guys, I'm Marianne.
And I'm Angie. Together, we are the therapists of Eden Therapy Co., and we are inviting you to have a seat at Eden's table.
Coming to you live from Miami, we believe in healing hearts, shining the light, and bridging the gap in mental health. Come sit with us as we learn, laugh, and explore how faith and mental health collide.
All right.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome back.
It is time for Eden's Table.
So, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about therapy, what it is, how it works, just trying to clear up some of the misconceptions about therapy. And Leslie, you were talking to us about a client that you may have had when we started.
So, if you haven't heard, therapy really is a one and done. You go to one session and you're healed. So, everybody should do it. Kidding.
Yeah, she's 100% kidding.
Like you're very serious. Research says. I don't exactly. I just validated them. No, guys, not true. Yeah. But my first clients ever, actually, they came in. I had an intake session with them, and I guess somewhere I said something just like referencing like, no, like there's nothing to fix here, like you're not broken. And so the next day the parents texted me like, hey, cancel all sessions because my child is healed. I don't know what you said to them, but they're good. They're good. I was like, oh wow, I'm really good at this. You're a miracle worker.
So therapy is not a one and done.
No, it's not. Unfortunately.
So Ivanna, tell us a little bit about what therapy is.
Leslie mentioned the intake process, and so I think that's really a big part of it. So when you come into therapy, it's really a moment where you complete an intake, and an intake is just for you to get to know your therapist and get to connect. You don't necessarily start working on everything. It's really to just identify what is the presenting issues that you're having come up in your life, your symptoms, and then just be able to determine if this is the right fit for you. So that's part of the therapeutic process is the initial intake.
Yeah.
I like to tell people it's just like today we're just going to gather a lot of information, a lot of background information, and you're going to tell me, well, why you're here, what's kind of currently going on. So
yeah, because out of an intake is really where we develop a treatment plan, which is basically like these are the goals we're going to work on based on what you have said, and we can even revise treatment plans throughout the years. Yes, I said years, but that's the initial meeting is so important because it's telling your therapist, this is who I am, these are the issues that I have. And as a therapist, what we're doing is we're starting to identify, okay, what are the goals for this session? What is going on with this person? And how do we help them get to where they want to be?
Yeah. So you're telling me you can't just gather that information over a quick phone call and then we just start working right away?
No.
as much as I love talking on the phone, no.
Not at all.
It does not occur in 15 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
Not your whole life story in 15 minutes.
And also part of coming in and doing an intake is that you're starting to see, like, is this person somebody that I want to work with?
Yes.
Is this somebody who's aligned with me? Is our chemistry on? Or is the issue that the client is coming in with, is your issue something that maybe is best served by somebody else? And we will provide a referral, or, you know, what are other appointments you might need? Do you need a nutritionist? Do you need a doctor? Do you need an eye doctor? You know, like, do you need testing? I mean, there's a psychiatrist. Like, there's so many different appointments that you start to assess again through this intake process.
Yeah. So we know how long we're going to be in therapy for.
That's a great
When is this going to get resolved?
Forever. Just kidding. I mean, you can be in therapy as long as you want. Like for me, I've been in therapy, I would say now for over 18, maybe 20 years. Ever since I was a student, I had started being in therapy just because I wanted to know what it was like to be on the other side of the couch. And also, it was really funny. One of my professors at university was like, you have a lot of work to do. And I was like, what?
Wow, thanks.
But it worked, you know, like I like to think I'm a lot healthier than I was before, you know, and it's been a great journey. And I stay in therapy really because of making sure that my issues don't get clouded with any of my clients' issues. So therapy can be a lifelong journey, but it also can be shorter.
Yeah.
right?
I think it's a valid question when clients come in. They're like, "Well, so how long is this going to take?" Like, I understand where they're coming from. It's just a hard question to answer because everyone's process is so different. And I find that sometimes when we come into therapy, we're thinking we're trying to address one thing, and then as we start the therapeutic process, there's other things that come along the way, you know? And so then we pivot and then we adjust treatment plans. And so I think the therapeutic process evolves and it's not one size fits all. I think it looks different in different seasons, the intensity or the frequency that you're coming into therapy. So it's such a hard question for therapists to answer. And it's more so like, well, how committed are you to doing the work? Like, as long as it takes. You know?
Yes.
That's good. I think sometimes just a lot of clients think that it's also up to the therapist, like how long you're here, when really like we don't just provide tools, but you kind of have to do the work. Like, again, like I guess there's this idea like the therapist is the one that controls all the sessions, but really like I can give you all the tools and you could choose not to implement them, to not work on it outside of the office. Like 50 minutes, like one time a week isn't the majority of your time. So are you implementing the tools? Are you journaling? Are you working through the things? Are you becoming aware of your patterns? Like, what is the work that you were doing even outside the office that like is helping you not coming to therapy anymore?
Yes.
I think sometimes parents are scared that the therapist is either going to replace a parent or that the therapist is going to just continue to come up with problems to keep either them or their children in therapy. But that's really not the goal of therapy. Our goal, especially with kids, is to get them back into their lives, back to doing everything that they like to do in their lives. It's not to keep them here.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I've heard parents sometimes say like, well, I don't want my child to have therapy as a crutch. And so our goal is never for therapy to be a crutch. It's really a tool. It's really a time where you can reflect and learn about yourself, especially as a child or a teen. I think it's such a valuable time to be able to just reflect on who you're becoming. So it's really therapy. We want it as therapists. Like, we want therapy to be a tool for you, that when we don't see you, the hundreds of hours that we're not really seeing with you, that you're able to know how to become the best version of yourself.
That's good. And that, honestly, that ties into like something I always tell parents when I'm working with children and teens. It's like my job is to build like connection between you, mom, dad, right? So that they don't need me, right? So that I can kind of work myself out of seeing this client because they've already connected to you guys. So in a way that anything that I'm doing, you're able to do for them, you know? So that's why a lot of times when I'm like, hey, I would like to have like a parent session, they're like, but why? Like, my child is the one that goes to you, you know? And it's like, well, no, well, at the end of the day, you guys are their parents. So like, I want to be able to give you all the tools and like train you also in order to be there for them. So they don't need to come here.
Right.
And I think with, you know, apart from families and parents and everybody just doing kind of work simultaneously, there's also misconceptions or I think like fears or thoughts that adults have about talking through things. And it's like, what's the point? Why do I need to talk through my things again? It's done. It's in the past. Why do I need to bring it back up? We just need to move on. And I think that there are some therapeutic approaches that align with that kind of thinking and kind of focusing on whatever's going on here and now and moving forward. But I think it is valuable when things from your past or things that you've been carrying for a really long time still are present and are still showing up in your day-to-day.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of what you're talking about, Marian, is more of an immigrant kind of perspective where they didn't have a choice, right? Like the choice isn't like, I'm going to sit and try to understand myself. It was more like, we don't have time for that. Get going, close it up, and just keep moving forward. And we're never going to open that up again because it was too painful and we're not going to look at it. So stop asking me to, right? And the gift of immigration is that as the kids of immigrants, we have the opportunity to do that, to kind of look at, okay, well, why am I this way? And do I want to continue to be this way? And do I want to move forward? Yeah.
And it's so interesting because even on a personal level, like I can see how the older generation thinks that way of like, no, but talking about it isn't going to fix anything. Like, it's not going to change anything. But it's like, oh, but I don't know why I have trouble sleeping. Or like, I can't sit still. Or, you know, like I just cry randomly. And I'm like, oh, no, you're right. We don't need to address anything, you know, like there's nothing to be talked about or processed, you know, but it's like, I think it takes that level of awareness of like, okay, you know what, like maybe this is not working. And so it's just even giving it a try. Like, okay, like in your minds, okay, talking about it with somebody isn't going to change anything, but like, okay, let's see, let's try it.
It actually does change something, though, when you talk to somebody about it. Professionally, it's different because we have tools and we have a way of listening and seeing things. It's very different from a friend.
Yeah.
But it actually does, because there's a lot of attachment repair that's happening when you're looking into the eyes of somebody and you're sharing with them something that happened to you or the way that things are that you don't get from just trying to take care of it yourself, right? Which is one of the misconceptions about therapy is, oh, I can handle it myself. I don't need anybody else. Like, it's fine. Like, I'll be fine. I'll just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Or even that as therapists, like, we're going to tell you what to do. We're going to give you the solution,
Yeah.
right? Like, we're going to give you the answer that you've been searching for your whole life.
Yeah.
When really, like, to Angie's point, we're like attunement to you. We're attaching to you, not attaching to you, but just giving you a space where you can share what your experiences, and we can hold space for you. And so maybe there's people that are really fearful to explore, like, the Pandora's box of their life, and so they just push it away, and they think therapy, it's like, why am I going to open one thing up and then everything is going to come up? Well, you're not doing it alone anymore. You're having someone who's non-judgmental, who is going to sit with you in this space and explore and even just hold it for you. And I think if you've never had that, it's a game changer.
I think another misconception that's coming to mind is when people think like, oh, the types of people that go to therapy. It's like, oh, you're just like, you've got issues, or like the crazy people, or I don't know, like I can hear people in my mind like, well, I don't need therapy. There's nothing going on in my life, and you may be right. You know, you don't need therapy at every point in your life or all the time or always. I think anyone and everyone can benefit from the therapeutic experience, but no, it's not just people that have something seriously going on right now. It is people that just want to talk through their lives and just want somebody like a mirror to just sit with me and like, let me just talk through things, or get a better understanding of myself.
Yeah.
I think even of the couples work that you do, Marian, like that sometimes the misconception is that you're coming to couples counseling when like everything is exploding.
Falling apart, right?
And, like, what a beautiful thing. And I say this to some of my clients too, like, why do we want to learn how to respond to stress or to how to use grounding or coping skills when we are in crisis? Like, let's learn it and practice it when we're not,
Right.
so that you know what to do when you are. And so I think even reframing our thought of when we step into therapy is really powerful. Like for couples, for families, for individuals, like you don't have to be in crisis to seek out therapy. It actually is setting you up for whenever something does happen, you have the tools, you know what to do.
Yeah. One of the coolest clients that I got to work with was a mom that brought in a daughter and said, no, she doesn't have any issues. I just want her to understand herself better, and I want her to know herself better. And that was great because we did a lot of identity work, a lot of understanding her history. And her session was a lot, she was in and out pretty quickly because she had a supportive mom. She learned how to communicate with mom. And to your point, Leslie, like our job is really not to replace mom, but to build that bridge that puts them together. And that way they can become not the child's therapist, but truly somebody who's safe, that they can come to, they can communicate to, they can speak to, feel seen, feel heard. Yeah.
And the goal is not, again, to fix something that's broken or someone that's broken. I think when people hear like, oh my God, you've been in therapy for how many years? Like, what's wrong? Like, you're not doing it right. Are you okay? You're like not working. Are you? Or people, I mean, you could see this like amongst friends or amongst like family members where it's like, you're in therapy, but you're still the same. I don't know. You need to talk to your therapist because I don't know what they're doing. It's not working. Yeah.
They're not doing anything. Have you told your therapist this?
Yeah.
Or to people that are in therapy and they're like, my therapist said this. Well, my therapist said this. Well, and it's like, no, the therapist's point of view is not
right.
it.
So it's like, just because you are in therapy doesn't mean you're going to become this new human that doesn't have any challenges or struggles, doesn't have moments where you just lose it, or that you become perfect. That's not the goal at all.
What about the misconception that if you're a Christian and you have faith in God, like you don't need therapy because God is your healer?
I mean, I'm very passionate about this topic.
That's right.
Let's talk about it. There's a few things that I could come up with. One is when Jesus is talking about the gifts of the Spirit, like he's saying in Corinthians, he's saying that the gifts of healing. So it's not one gift of healing, it's many gifts of healing. And for you to think that healing can't come through a person that has a relationship with Jesus, that has the Holy Spirit inside, well, it's not even biblical, if I'm going to start there. And secondly, like, yes, Jesus is the healer. I believe the Holy Spirit works through us to heal other people.
Yes.
And sometimes you might need a hug. Sometimes you might need eye contact. Sometimes you might need, like you were saying, Ivanna, somebody to just hold space for you. The idea that Jesus or God couldn't give us tools that could help his people, I think is a very just not right. I don't know what else to say. Like, it's just not right.
Yeah, I think that it's not Jesus or Christianity or your faith or therapy. It's both and. So both can work together. It's not like mortal enemies or something. Like sometimes, you can pray, but you have to take action on things, and you have to. Part of it is having an understanding of yourself. I think when you're driving as a driver, like, you have blind spots that you need to look out for, that you need to turn. Like sometimes it is better when you have somebody in the car. You don't know what you don't know. And when you have somebody working those things out with you, they can magnify or identify some of your blind spots and bring things that you didn't see for yourself up to light.
Yeah.
It's actually complementary. You know, it's not in opposition, Jesus and therapy. And I think of like the disciples. And so if we think that just because we have encountered Jesus, now our whole personality is like, you're just perfect, you know, think about Peter. Like, I love Peter because he would have crash outs. He'd crash out, and then he'd be like, "Ooh, sorry," and I relate to that. You know, but I think about that, and it's just like, you know, I can imagine, even if you look after Jesus left and Peter was an apostle and he was having relational conflicts with other disciples and with other apostles, like he was being sanctified. And so I think when our walk in our faith, like, it's the process of sanctification. Therapy is doing that
Absolutely.
for us. It is like highlighting the areas where we need Jesus and someone to kind of call it out and help us to renew our mind. You know, Romans 12:2, like, we renew our mind. And so therapy is doing that for us. It's not a conflict.
I also think of the cross. It's vertical and horizontal. Why? Because it's our relationship with God, but also our relationship with people. And for us to have relationship with people, sometimes we have to be with people to work out our issues so that when we see people, other people, we're not just, you know, being like too much or just, I don't know.
Learning how to ask for forgiveness. Like, I think therapy teaches that, like, the reflection, like learning how to ask for forgiveness, learning how to, like, say I'm sorry,
own your own stuff,
own your stuff, like,
you know, sometimes we just need to own it, like, you know, that's my stuff.
I mean, I think that's a misconception. I think that people think that your therapist is going to say you're amazing, you don't need to change,
not here,
like, you know, like, and that your therapist is just like
an
patting you on the
enabler.
back.
Not here.
No, like, it's a mirror. It's telling you the areas of improvement, the areas of growth.
And sometimes you have to say it how it is, you know? And I have this thing where I ask for permission, and most of my clients know, like, if Angie's asking for permission, get ready.
Buckle up.
There's something coming up. But it is. Sometimes we just have to say it how it is. We can't sugarcoat something for somebody.
It's true. It's good.
Yeah.
And everybody has a different style of therapy. There's different therapists out there. You kind of have to find which one fits, you know, one that you feel comfortable opening up with and being transparent, you know, reaching that level of vulnerability, because I think that's not easy. And so sometimes it does take the right connection.
For sure.
And so it's okay to shop around.
Oh my gosh, I went to some crazy therapists when I was looking for my therapist. I won't even bother with the stories, but it is important to shop around. And actually, my first therapist, and I mean, I worked with her for a really long time. I want to say it was like about 8 years. I really cared for her, but my life just changed so much spiritually that we both came to an understanding that our values were not aligned anymore. So it was time for me to look for somebody new. That's where the crazy search came in. But it's important because you have to basically interview your therapist, maybe have a few sessions with them, and make sure it's somebody that you connect with, that you feel like you can go that deep level with, you know.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I also wanted to talk about like with kids and adolescents, a lot of times like there's seasons of therapy. So if as a child you went through something really traumatic, right? You may need to come in when you're an adolescent, and then you may need to come in when you're an adult, and then you may need to come in if you're getting married, and then you may have to come in if you're a couple. And that doesn't mean that therapy is forever, but different seasons of our lives bring in different challenges that we may need to continue to work on, and also brain development, right? Like when you're little, your brain is pretty black and white. And so a lot of the interventions are very black and white. When you're a teenager, they're kind of like in the middle ground. They can be a little bit gray, but it's really when you hit 18, 20, 25 that you really have the capacity for reflection. You have the capacity for insight and reason. So remember that therapy can also be seasonal, and I think that's something that people don't realize too.
Absolutely.
So, what are parts of the process that people sometimes misinterpret or kind of get confused or maybe have their own misconceptions of?
The process of therapy?
Yes.
I think sometimes people, I could say with parents, sometimes they bring their children in thinking that we're going to solve their behavioral problem, and that's it, right? Like they're coming here, so we're going to tell them what they have to do, and for some reason their child is going to listen to us, and we're the ones who have the authority, when it's quite the opposite. You know, so I think one misconception is that like we're not enforcers, like we will teach the tool, but parents are still the enforcers, right?
Like I think of, especially with behavioral issues, like for that, we require a behavioral modification, like at home. So it's like, okay, this is the consequence, this is the reinforcement, like this is the motivation, like how are you implementing that at home? Like, are you not seeing the behavioral change? So like, are you guys implementing this? Like, is there consistency in it?
Because a lot of times they'll be like, he's been coming here or she's been coming here and there's no change in their behavior. And it's like, well, what are we doing with the tools? Right?
Exactly.
Let's implement. What else?
I think when you don't have, you're coming into session and you don't have anything to talk about, you're just like, I guess I don't need therapy anymore. We're done here. And sometimes, maybe that is indicating, okay, like season's up, you know, let's have a conversation about it, kind of overview the treatment plan, the goals, like where are we at, what's the process, the progress that has been made. Other times, it's okay. You can trust that your therapist is in control and doing the work and has your treatment plan and goals up front in their mind, and they have stuff for you too. You can talk through that. It's not just a day for you to skip because you don't have anything to talk about.
Yeah, that's good.
No, I really like that, because I think a lot of times people come and they're like, yeah, like I'm good. And meanwhile, as a therapist, you're like, okay, but we haven't processed A, B, C, and D.
I'm sure you are. Which honestly reminds me, like, I think a big misconception is there's a lot that comes up as you are processing trauma. Like if you have this idea, like I'm going to talk about it in session and then I'm going to walk out and I'm going to feel totally normal. Like, no, like all of those emotions that have been underneath the surface, like tend to pile up. And so I literally have clients be like, well, now I feel worse. Like now I'm like super anxious and I'm crying all the time.
Such
and I
a
feel
good
so
point.
dysregulated. And I'm like, yeah, you're doing the work. We're sitting with things that you haven't sat with in a very long time. So yeah, you're going to have this wild wave of emotions come up. And this is why therapy is a journey, so that we can sit with it and talk about it and process it as it comes, as this wave is coming through.
Right. To your point, Leslie, a lot of times with trauma, it's like, I'm so triggered now. I'm triggered all the time. To which I say, that's great, because our triggers is what we have to look at in order to be able to get to a place where there is peace, so that when you're triggered, you learn how to navigate that as opposed to just staying in a dysregulated state. Yeah. Trauma is one of those things that a lot of people shy away from therapy, which is why I always tell my clients that they're warriors. And especially with different modalities, the point is to really go straight for what it is that was going on that is going to make somebody feel dysregulated and in a lot of ways, again, finding the right therapist, because like the way that we work is that we make sure to tell clients, like if you're going to have a hard session, make sure you tell your family, or, you know, maybe you need to journal for an hour after you're coming here. Maybe you need to go for a walk after here. Maybe we have to go for a walk after session with our clients.
Yeah.
But learning that there is a wave that we ride when it
Absolutely.
comes to therapy, and that, sometimes we have to feel worse to get better.
Yeah. I always tell clients, like, triggers lead to the root. So if you continue to get triggered, like, that just shows us where the root of the issue is for us to kind of get to. And again, if you come to therapy for X amount of time and you've done the processing, that does not mean you're never going to experience a trigger.
No,
like,
not at
the
all.
hope is that you've learned the tools that you can identify, like, okay, this is what's coming up for me. I understand where it's coming from, and this is what I need, and this is how I take care of myself, and I regulate my nervous system after this trigger.
Right. So learning to respond instead of reacting, which is
Exactly.
really what that is.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not like you go to therapy and everything is rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah.
Or even in the process of eating disorder recovery, let's say, right? Like you get to a point and you're like, I feel really steady. And then I like to call it a recycle. You recycle a behavior.
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason why you did. And maybe to your point, Leslie, it's a trigger that we have to go back in and we have
Correct.
to look and we have to see
Yeah.
like what is coming up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. What's a common misconception in couples therapy, Marianne? What's something that's like that couples are like not wanting to come to therapy for, or come to therapy and they're like surprised?
Oh, sometimes they'll expect the therapist to. They're the ones that are going to figure out whether you should be together or not.
Oh,
So are we good? Are we a good match?
Yeah, it's really,
Are we compatible?
right. It's really interesting. And honestly, even like the why this is kind of tricky, because it's like your therapist could be wrong.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
like your therapist may think you should go, you know,
Right.
and that may not be what's right or what you're gonna do or what
Yeah.
your relationship needs.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, your therapist doesn't have the answers to everything, and they're
Right.
not the holder of the truth and
Yeah.
like wisdom in its entirety. It's just not. We're not perfect people. We're human.
agreed.
You know, we've studied a lot and we're doing the work, but that's not that's not the job. That's not our job.
Also, I think another misconception is that like your therapist is your friend.
Oh,
And
Hey,
your therapist is not your friend. I mean, we do care about you.
Yeah.
We do have, we do hope the best for you. But like, we're just humans and we have our life outside of therapy, and we can be friendly. But at the end of the day, we're not going to hang out on the weekend.
Yeah.
Not if we want to serve you well.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have to have the right boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, this was fun.
Yeah, this was fun. I feel this is a good one.
Is there anything else that you all would say when somebody wants to come to therapy, maybe?
I'd say push past the fear,
Yeah.
push past the fear of what could be, what might get drawn up, and actually think about like who you might become, like all the possibilities. It's actually an exciting step.
Yeah.
Step.
Yeah. And remember that going to therapy doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. Right.
You're not crazy.
No, you're not crazy. You're not broken. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, this is just a great place to kind of just become a better person, heal certain things, like work through certain things, and have accountability.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, y'all. Well, we hope that you've enjoyed this episode and that you also take away that therapy is actually fun. Believe it or not, there are fun components, and there is a lot of laughter that comes out of our sessions as well.
definitely. Yeah.
So if you like this episode, please
Comment, like, subscribe.
all the things.
All the above.
And share with a friend if you think that they would benefit from this episode.
Yeah. Thanks for sitting with us.
Bye. Till next time.
Well, friends, thank you for tuning in, and remember, freedom is possible. Join us next time at Eden's Table, where you can always sit with us.